Hello, I'm Min Kobayashi, and today I'm here to talk about short classics because a lot of people ask me, how do you read so many classic books? Well, a lot of classics happen to be quite tiny, and then there's, a lot that are gigantic. So if you are thinking, I want to read a classic book, but I don't want to read Les Miserables because 1,300 pages is way too long, I would go, yeah, that's probably why I haven't read it either. These aren't all ones that I loved. Some I didn't love, some I thought were kind of terrible, but people have different tastes. The first one I have is The Yellow Wallpaper. It tells the story of a woman who is confined because she is having nervousness. So pretty much it's just talking about mental illness in the 1890s, and it has feminism and horror. So if that doesn't entice you, I don't know what will. I know a lot of American schools read it in the classroom, but I didn't. I'm Canadian. The Great Gatsby. Many people also probably read this one. It is one that I absolutely love. It is very short as well. You could read it in one sitting, I've been told. Critique on the American dream. It has lots of obsessive love and murder in it, so if that's your taste. It's set in the Jazz Age of the 1920s, and it follows a main character named Nick as he encounters a bunch of other people like Gatsby, who's this really rich dude, his cousin Daisy, and her really awful husband. I would definitely recommend it. It's very enjoyable. Okay, this is one I also really loved, but it doesn't have as easy language if you like beautiful stuff, but that would be Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This is a story about friendship and about hopelessness. It's set in the 1930s during the Dust Bowl era where a lot of people were poor. This one dude wants to start a farm and get a better life, but he is busy protecting his friend who really likes soft things. Sounds like the weirdest thing. Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde. This is a classic one probably many people have heard of, but not very many people have read. It is a beautiful story of the split personality and Old English society and horror and a little bit of science fiction, and I really liked it. I thought it was fantastically done and hauntingly done. Animal Farm by George Orwell. I just read this last month. I thought it was phenomenally done. It tells the story of a variety of animals who overthrow their human farmer and then start a society. So it shows them from the pigs that are kind of the upper class to people that work really hard and just giving in, to people that are rebelling, people that are of middle class. It's such a beautiful description of our society, and also government and society will always be corrupted. We have The Crucible by Arthur Miller. This is a play. Gotta get diversity in there. And it takes place during the Salem witch trials, and the themes around it is how willing ignorance is always the root of prejudice. How people who decide to never change their mind and have one opinion about people, and how that affects people. Sula by Toni Morrison. It is actually a book I didn't like, but it is a staple of African American writing as well as women's writing. It is about liberation and how women can be free and enjoy sexual pleasure. I thought that the main character was kind of selfish. That was my main complaint with this book. And then Anthem by Ayn Rand. This is a book that I thought was great. It was a refreshing dystopian. It tells a story of a place that really limits communication and knowledge, and it's a story about how love can conquer ignorance. And I thought it was beautiful. And it has a really cool way of narrating because it's a collectivism society where they're not allowed to be personal. It is narrated as we instead of I because we are all one. Then I have The Outsiders by Se Hinton. This is a book written by a teen author that has stood the test of time. It tells a story of class structure and how people perceive one another and how that affects people. The main character is a 14-year-old boy who is a greaser and part of a gang. Then Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis. I love C.S. Lewis, and The Chronicles of Narnia would also be a classic book that is not that long. But this is another one. This is his lesser-known fiction, which happens to be a space trilogy. I can't vouch for the rest of the series, but the first one is very interesting. It is an intellectual look at space travel and science fiction because it's a philologist who studies language, how he gets to know other creatures and how language is developed, which I thought was very interesting. It might not be everyone's cup of tea. It's not like full of action and rebellion. The Death of Ivan Iliac. This is by Leo Tolstoy, who is a very renowned Russian author, and I thought it was really well done. It is about the meaning of life, and it's also very short and just beautiful. This man finds out that he's dying and he's like, how have I lived my life and what should I have done better? If you want to read Russian literature that's not, 900 pages long, then you can pick this one up. Then I have The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a book that, if the introduction to Lord of the Rings is too long and boring for you, then you read this book. Daisy Miller by Henry James. This is an interesting book that I just read. It's a short novella about a girl who lives by American standards and is thus seen as improper when she's actually very innocent. Then I have The Sniper by Liam O'Flaherty. This is probably the shortest on the list. It's like 15 pages. It tells the story of a man during the Irish Civil War, and it's kind of about the cost of Civil War. Every time, I just love it. This is my list of short classic books. Have a great day and happy adventures.
She's still preoccupied with 1985.